Oh, okay. Solve an equation, solve an equation.
You want to test writing before I Cool?
Yep.
Okay, the small mouse is here in case you want to use it.
Okay.
Alright. I'll be monitoring from the computer.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I've never done any of these. Okay. Lesson 3-8. Solve 5b plus 12c equals 9 for b. The original equation is right here. Subtract 12c from each side. We're trying to get b alone. We're trying to solve for b. So we have 5b plus 12c minus 12c equals 9 minus 12c. We subtract the 12c from both sides. 5b equals 9 minus 12c. Now divide each side by 5. 5b divided by 5. These cancel out. The 5s and the 5s cancel out. 9 minus 12c divided by 5. That leaves us with b equals 9 minus 12c over 5, or negative 12c plus 9 over 5. The value of b is negative 12c plus 9 over 5. That's what it means when it says solve for an equation for b. You're not going to change the c. The c is not going to be changed by any number. You're just solving for b. So a c will be in the answer. Now, solve 2x minus 17y equals 13 for y. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move, I would first move this negative 17y to the other side and move this 13 over so that we have a positive value of y. So that would leave us with 2x minus 13, because we subtract 13 from both sides, equals, then we add 17y to both sides, equals 17y. It says solve for y. So now we divide each side by 17 so we can get the y on its own. 17y divided by 17 cancels out, and we have y equals 2x minus 13 divided by 17. And here's that answer. First, we subtract 13 from both sides, and then we add 17y to both sides. 7x minus 2z equals 4 minus xy. Distributive property. Okay, so if we have solve... Okay, this is an incorrect slide. Now, if we have solve 12a plus 3c equals 2a plus 6 for a. Add xy to each side. X plus y. X plus y. X. It wants us to solve for a. 12a plus 3c equals 2ab plus 6. So if we're going to solve for a, first we're going to move this 2ab to the other side. So we have 12a minus 2ab plus 3c equals 6. If we subtract 2ab from both sides, that is what we get right here. This cancels out. Now we need to move this 3c back to the other side. So we have 12a, subtract 3c, subtract 3c. 12a minus 2ab equals 6 minus 3c. Now what we need to do is we need to use the distributive property to find this a. So we take out the a from this equation. So that gives us, if we take out the a, 12a divided by a is 12. 2ab divided by a is minus 2b equals 6 minus 3c. The equation said find a. So now we just want a to be on its own. So we divide each side by 12 minus 2b. That cancels out, leaving us with a equals 6 minus 3c divided by 12 minus 2b. The most confusing part is right here, where we have 12a minus 2ab. Since we're solving for a, you need to find a way to take out a from this equation. All you do is factor it out. You divide each of these by a. You put a on the outside of a parentheses, and then divide each of these by a. 12a divided by a is 12. 2ab divided by a is 2b. That leaves us with the answer 6 minus 3c divided by 12 minus 2b is a. A car's fuel economy, E, miles per gallon, is given by the formula E equals m over g, where m is the number of miles driven and g is the number of gallons of fuel used. Solve the formula for m. Well, if the original equation is E equals m over g, first thing we do, multiply each side by g. This cancels out, so we have Eg equals m. Solve the equation for m, Eg equals m equals Eg. If Claudia's car has an average fuel consumption of 60 miles per gallon and she used 9.5 gallons, how far did she drive? Well, we know that miles driven equals Eg. M equals Eg. So now plug in. We know that E is the 30 miles, that's her fuel consumption, and 9.5 is the gallons used. 9.5. 30 times 9.5 is 285. Miles driven is 285. All we did was use the equation and plug in numbers. A car's fuel economy, E, miles per gallon, is given by the formula E equals m over G, where m is the number of miles driven and G is the number of gallons of fuel used. Solve the formula for G. So we have the original E equals m over G. Now we want G to be by itself. So if we multiply each side by G, that cancels out and we have m equals G E. And we want G on its own. So then you can divide each side by E. GE divided by E cancels out, so we have G equals m over E. Right here. First thing you do, multiply by G, so we don't have any fraction on that side. That gives us G times E equals m. Then divide each side by E so we can have G on its own. G equals ME. M divided by E. If Claudia drove 1,477 miles and her pickup has an average fuel consumption of 19 miles per gallon, how many gallons of fuel did she use? Well, we're going to use this equation that we just found. G equals m over E. We're trying to find gallons. G equals, well, we know that her miles was 1,477 and her fuel consumption is 19 miles per gallon. 1477 divided by 19 equals 77.74 gallons. We use the same equation. Gallons equals miles divided by fuel consumption. 1,477 miles divided by 19 miles per gallon will give you the gallons she used. 77.74 gallons. The formula for the volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi r squared times height, h. Where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height, solve the formula for h. Well, the original formula is V equals pi r squared divided by pi r squared times h. We're just trying to find h. So now divide each side by pi r squared. There's an h right here. So we have V divided by pi r squared equals pi r squared h divided by pi r squared. Cancel out the pi r squared, and we are left with V divided by pi r squared equals h. That is our new equation. What is the height of a cylindrical swimming pool that has a radius of 12 feet and a volume of 1,810 cubic feet? Well, we want to know the height. We know that the radius is 12 feet, right here, r radius, and the volume is 1,810 feet, right there, 1,810. So we have 1,810 divided by pi 12 squared. Use a calculator. 12 squared, 144, times pi, 3.14, and 1,810 divided by that number. 4.03 is the height. The height of the cylindrical swimming pool is about 4 feet. First, we multiply this, and then we divide 1,810 by that number. The formula for the volume of a cylinder is V equals pi r squared, where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height. Solve the formula for r. If you just want to know what radius is, the original equation, V equals pi r squared h. We're just trying to find r. So the first thing we do is pi r squared h divide by pi h. Pi h, this pi cancels out, that h cancels out, and you have volume over pi times height equals r squared. Now, if you square root both sides, what you do to one side, you must do the other. That cancels out, and you have the radius equals the square root of the volume divided by pi times height. What is the radius of a cylindrical swimming pool if the volume is 2010 cubic feet and the height is 6? Well, we know from the last one, you want to know radius. Radius equals the square root of volume pi times h. So we know that the volume V is 2010. We know that that's pi 3.14, and the height is 6. And we know it's going to be square rooted. So 6 times pi, you're going to use a calculator. 6 times pi, 18.85, about 2010 divided by 18.85. 2010 divided by 18.85 is square root of 106.6. The square root of 106.6 is about 10 feet. Pi times 6, 18.85, or 19. 2010 divided by 18.85, square root 106.6, gives you 10 feet. The radius is 10 feet. That is the end of lesson 3-8. Lesson 3-9. Jerry likes to feed her cat gourmet cat food that costs $1.75 per pound. However, food at the price is too expensive, so she combines it with cheaper cat food that costs 50 cents per pound. How many products of cheaper food should Jerry buy to go with 5 pounds of gourmet food if she wants the price to be $1 per pound? Well, let W equal the number of pounds of cheaper cat food. Make a table. Gourmet cat food, 5 units per pound. Price per unit, $1.75. Price, 8.75. Gourmet cat food, W, This is not gourmet cat food. 50 cents per pound, 0.5 W. Mixed cat food, 5 plus W. Price per unit, 1. That's what we want. Price, $1 times 5 plus W. Write and solve an equation using the number in the table. Price of gourmet cat food, $8.75, plus the price of cheaper cat food, 0.5 W, equals $1 times 5 plus W, the price of mixed cat food. That gives us this original equation, 8.75 plus 0.5 W equals 5 plus 1 W. That's the distributive property. Now subtract 0.5 W from each side. 8.75 minus 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 5.0 plus W minus 0.5. That leaves us with 8.75 equals 5 plus 0.5 W. Now subtract 5.0 from each side. 8.75 minus 5.0 equals 5.0 plus 0.5 W minus 5.0. 3.75 equals 0.5 W. 3.75 divided by 0.5 equals 0.5 W divided by 0.5. Simplify, 7.5 equals W. Jerry should buy 7.5 pounds of cheaper cat food to be mixed with 4 pounds of gourmet cat food to equal out to $1 per pound of cat food. Cheryl has bought 3 ounces of sequins that cost $1.79 an ounce. The seed beads cost 99 cents an ounce. How many ounces of beads can she buy if she only wants the beads to be $1.29 an ounce for her craft project? We're going to use the same equation as before. Cheryl should buy 4.6 ounces of beads. You can start by doing the same sort of table: units, price per unit, and price total. Cheryl has bought 3 ounces of sequins that cost $1.79 an ounce. The seed beads cost 99 cents an ounce. How many ounces of seed beads can she buy if she only wants the beads to be $1.29 an ounce for her craft project? You're going to set it up the same way, use the same type of equation, and Cheryl should buy 4.6 ounces of beads. To provide protection against freezing, a car's radiator should contain a solution of 50% antifreeze. Daryl has 2 gallons of a 35% antifreeze solution. How many gallons of 100% antifreeze should Daryl add to his solution to produce a solution of 50% antifreeze? Let G equal the number of gallons of 100% antifreeze to be added. Make a table. We have the 35% solution. The amount of solution is 2 gallons. The price is 0.35 times 2. The 100% solution, the amount of solution, gallons, G. The price, 1.0 times gallons. The 50% solution, 2 plus G, is 0.50, 2 plus G. %, 1.0, 50%, 0.5, 35%, 0.35. All we do is multiply across. We have 2 gallons, 0.35 times 2. 100% solution, G, 1.0, 1.0 times G. 50% solution, 2 plus G times 0.50. Write and solve an equation using the information. The amount of antifreeze in 35% solution is 0.35 times 2 plus 1.0 g equals 0.50, 2 plus g. 0.35 times 2 plus 1.0 g equals 0.50, 2 plus g. Use the distributive property. 0.35 times 2 is 0.70. 1.0 times g, 1g. 0.50 times 2 plus g, 1 plus 0.50 g. 0.70 plus 1g minus 50g, we're getting rid of this 50g, so we only have one side of it, equals 1 plus 0.50g minus 0.50g. This cancels out. Whoa. This cancels out, and we are left with 0.70 plus 0.50g equals 1. Simplify. Subtract 0.70 from both sides, leaving us with 0.50g equals 0.30. Divide each side by 0.50 so we can have g on its own. This cancels out, and we have 0.30 divided by 0.50. G equals 0.60. Daryl should add 0.60 gallons of 100% antifreeze to produce a 50% solution. A recipe calls for mixed nuts with 50% peanuts. Half a pound of 15% peanuts has already been used. How many pounds of 75% peanuts should be added to obtain the requested 50% mix? We're going to use the same way. Set up a table. The first thing we would do is we have the 15%. We have half a pound. So we have half a pound times 0.15. Now we have 75%. We want to know how many pounds, P for pounds, will be required to find this final mix. So we know it's P 0.75. Oh, I mixed that up. P 0.75. How much to obtain the needed 50% mix? To get the 50% mix, we're going to look back. If we look back at the other table, we add the first two, and the price is 0.50 times 2 plus g. So on our new one, we know that's going to be 0.5 plus p for pounds, and then it's 0.5 plus p. Now when you make this into an equation, just like before, and then solve, you will get 7 over 25 of a pound of 75% peanuts should be used. Marasol took a non-stop flight from Newark to Austin to visit her grandmother. The 1,500-mile trip took 3 hours and 45 minutes. Because of bad weather, the return trip took 4 hours and 45 minutes. What was her average speed for the round trip? Well, to find the average speed for each leg of the trip, we write d equals rt as r equals d divided by t. So r equals d over t. 1,500 miles as at 3.75 hours. That was the way there. So about 400 miles per hour. Returning, r equals d over t. 1,500 miles, same distance, 4.75 hours. 3.15.79 miles per hour. That was returning. Now, for round trip, weighted average. 400 times 1 plus 315.79 times 2 divided by 3. 1,331.58 divided by 3, or 343.86. 343.86. The average speed for the round trip was about 343.9 miles per hour. In the morning when traffic is light, it takes 30 minutes to get to work. The trip is 15 miles through towns. In the afternoon when traffic is a little heavier, it takes 45 minutes. What is the average speed for round trip? Well, we know that it takes 30 minutes. We're going to look back at the same thing. Miles per hour is what we're trying to find. So we know that it is 15 miles on the way there over 30 minutes is 0.5. On the way back, it's a little heavier. So it's again 15 over 45. 15 divided by 45 0.33. For the weighted average, 0.5 times 1 plus 0.33, that is that, times 2 divided by 1 plus 2. Times 2 plus 0.5 divided by 3. For this, let's go back. When we set this up, we don't want to use minutes as what's given. We want to use hours. We don't want miles per minute, we want miles per hour. So for the way there, we would use 15. 30 minutes is half an hour. That's going. And for returning, it's 15 over 0.75 for returning. Now, 15 divided by 0.5 will give us 30. 15 divided by 0.75 will give us 20. So we have 30 times 1 plus 20 times 2, remember the weighted average, divided by 1 plus 2. 20 times 2 is of course 40, plus 30 is 70, divided by 3. So we have 70 divided by 3, and that will give us 23 miles per hour. The average speed for the round trip was 23 miles per hour. A railroad operator has discovered that two trains are heading toward each other on the same track. Currently, the trains are 53 miles apart. One train is traveling at 75 miles per hour. The other train is traveling at 40 miles per hour. The faster train will require 5 miles to stop safely, and the slower train will require 3 miles to stop safely. About how many minutes does the operator have to warn the train engineers to stop their trains? Draw a diagram. They are 53 miles per hour, 53 miles apart. This train takes 5 miles to stop. This train takes 3 miles to stop. 53 minus 5 plus 3 equals 45 miles left. That's how many miles it will take for them to stop. So the fast train, we have 75. Let m be the number of minutes that the operator has to warn the engineers to stop their train safely, and make a table. 75 times m, so 75m. The other train has 40. Remember, 75 miles per hour and 40 miles per hour. This is the speed. 75 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour. So 75 times m is 75m. 40 times m, 40m. distance traveled by fast train, 75m, plus 40m equals 45. That's the number of minutes that we're looking at. For the number of miles that we're looking at. 45 miles. 75m plus 40m equals 45. 115m equals 45. Divide each side by 115, 0.39. Now that's minutes. You need to multiply it by 60 to get it to hours. The operator has about 23.4 minutes. Sorry, this was seconds. Convert this to minutes. 0.39 times 60, 23.4 minutes. 23 minutes to warn the engineers. Two students left school on their bicycles at the same time, one heading north and one heading south. The student heading north travels at 15 miles per hour. The one heading south travels at 17 miles per hour. About how many minutes will they be 7.5 miles apart? How many minutes will they be 7.5 miles apart? We set up a table again, do the equation. You will get they will be 7.5 miles apart in 14 minutes. End of lesson 3.9. Yep. We're ready to start. 3, 4, 2.
You want a copy?
Yes.